Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining AI Practically. We are here today with another episode where we will be focusing on breaking down practically how you can get in your company, in your business, and in your team from manual processes to something which is automated and delegating part of those manual processes to AI agents or better to AI employees. As usual, I will be joined by Boril, and we will discuss it in a very practical way, how we're using it in our businesses and with our clients. Boril, welcome to AI Practically. Great to have you as well. And thanks for joining us this week again. I'll let you quickly introduce yourself and we'll jump straight into it.
Hey, hi, Lukas. Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting me again, and I'm happy to be here. So my name is Boril. I'm actually creating, building, and deploying AI employees on daily basis. So this is what I do for a living. And today's session, today's episode is very important for everyone who wants to onboard AI employees because the process of building, designing, building, and deploying is actually crucial and determines the success of this project for the company.
And just a reminder for those who either join us for the first time, maybe you just noticed this live stream happening on LinkedIn or on YouTube, or you will see it as a recording. We have previous episodes which you can find either on our LinkedIn's or on YouTube AI Practically, where first we spoke about what AI employees are. Then we spoke about how to specifically use AI employees for sales organizations. And last week we discussed how to train humans to work with AI effectively and what are kind of the key challenges in that. Today, we're looking at something a little bit more operational, as we said, from getting from manual processes, which every company has more or less, to automating them. And I wanted us to start today with a very practical example. We can jump straight into it. This is a real case scenario of a process we were automating in our business recently. It's a product listing flow, which for any e-commerce company is a crucial process and usually a very important one to handle well. And as you can see, that process that's in the first part, in the colorful part of the picture, that's how the process was. And it had many steps, and all of them were manual. And what we did, basically, we picked one part of that process, we picked one column, and we decided, okay, this is the best place where to start the automation of that process because the process is very well defined. That's some repeatable process. And we deployed AI employee to help us in that part of the process, which in this case, it was image resizing. So we always had to resize the images for the product listings in a certain way. And doing it manually or doing it by humans, it just takes so much time and it's very tedious. So we deployed AI employee to handle that process. That AI employee, the moment it gets input from our team, it knows how to resize the images. It knows what format we need. It knows what size of the image we need, etc. And it just gives them the images back in the correct format. So this is just one example of how we went from very manual process. We zoomed in one of the places there, and we decided to deploy AI employee there. And before I will give it to Boril, someone saying hi to us in LinkedIn. Thanks. So if you're watching us live, drop us comments on LinkedIn. We can see them. Sometimes we cannot see the names, but we can see the comments. So let us know if you have any questions. Let us know as well. We'll definitely make sure to answer them. With that, Boril, how do we usually go about deciding where to start, so to speak, what to automate? What's your approach to it? How do you decide what goes first?
So there are a lot of approaches, but in my practice, I'm using six pillar approach of analyzing and assessing which task or which activity can be or should be automated. So there are these six criteria, which is they're very clear, and usually every business owner knows about all that activities, if they cover this criteria or not. So any activity which is very repetitive, happening every day, every hour, every week, is like a candidate for automation. Also, if it has a very clear structure or rules, so which are applying, let's say, for Example for this is a payroll or invoice processing or statements processing or creating proposals, stuff like this. These are activities which have clear structure and they can definitely be automated. But it's not enough. It's better to have good, positive impact on the company, on the organization as well. Because if something is repetitive and has a good structure, but it doesn't have a big volume of operation, maybe there is no point of investing time of creating automations or employees. So the third criteria is to have a large volume of operation. Let's say maybe if you have 3 invoices per month, you don't need automation. But if you have 1,000 invoices, in this case, it will have a lot of big impact on your business. Also, the standardized input-output for a process is something which is very important. For example, if you have an unstructured input, for example, email or unstructured messages, it will be harder to automate. Of course, you can use AI to get the intent and analyze the content. But if you have a form-based input or questionnaire or test or quiz or something like that as input, and also a structured report, which is, for example, financial report or marketing report, which is having a very specific structure, it is also a very good candidate for automation. And of course, if this task is consuming a lot of time for the humans, it is definitely a candidate for automation, because if you have one person, you're paying salary to this person, and he or she is doing a repetitive, structured, and impactful job, but mechanical, like not so creative or not leveraging the human potential, this is also something which we need to consider as an automation for automating. And of course, maybe the most important thing is if this activity, if done manually, is prone to mistakes or errors, definitely we need to automate it in onboard the machines and the AI to do it. Or even without AI, you can do it with a simple automation. You don't need AI every time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all those 6 criteria, they're very good, like check boxes to really prioritize where to start, right? So if you evaluate parts of your process by these 6 criteria, you should get a very clear picture on where to start. And if we go back to the example I shared at the beginning, which was product listing flow, right? That's really what we did. We evaluated each of the columns you can see at the top by those criteria Boril just described, and see, okay, what is the most time consuming, which is the most error prone part of the process, which is the one which is very repetitive at the same time, but also has clear structure and rules. And that's why we started with image resizing, because it's clear we need each image to have exactly the same dimension, exactly the same format, exactly the same size. And there's not much thinking around it. There's no creativity, because the images, we're just editing them, we're just resizing them. So that's why we picked this one. So I just wanted to bring those two parts together. And Boril, if we continue and I ask you, what's the process if you come to the client? How do you actually identify what the process is and what are the parts you need to automate, or where do you need to deploy AI employee? You're on mute, Boril. I'll need to unmute you. So
yes, sorry, I was muting my microphone. So yes, I'm sharing my 7-step process, which I apply to not only for the clients, but also for the employees which I'm building myself. And this process is more or less the same for most of the AI and automation builders, because it is inevitable. You need to go through these steps. I'm just putting some twist on each of the steps just to deliver more value for the clients. But these 7 stages, they should be done one after another. If I skip a step, it will be a trouble in the future for my client and for myself. So the first stage, I call it wake up. It's like a discovery call with a new client or the current client for the new project. We need to understand what are the expectations of this client about this new AI employee or set of employees or a team. Because if we don't align our expectations in the beginning, this is definitely will be a disaster in a short or midterm. And as an example, I can give one of my clients who wanted to basically automate the entire department. He wanted to replace one department to be only with AI. And at that time, and even now, technically it's not possible. When you need to have a human in the loop. Maybe after 10 years, it will be possible to have one department replaced, especially major department. So we try to align our expectations. And if I see that kind of expectation, I need to speak with the client and tell them what is possible, what's not. Otherwise, we will have issues in the future. This is the first initial step when we set the ground. The second important step is the audit of the not the company itself, but the processes and how they operate. And during this audit, we are analyzing the opportunities for automation in different parts of their process and their operations in general, because most of the companies, small or big, they have different departments, different functions. Each function has different roles and different part of the org chart. And each role has specific responsibilities, and each responsibility requires different operation, different procedure, and so on. So we need to do this analysis first to understand actually where are the bottlenecks, where are the issues, where can we apply our 6 criteria process, and identify the elements of automation. When we're ready with this, as an output of this audit and analysis, actually it becomes very, very clear what we need to do. We can define our roadmap. And the important thing here is that when I work with a client, I classify and segment the types of automation touch points in 3 categories. The first one is assisting. So this role or operation can be assisted by AI tools or AI workflows. The second level is augmenting this role. This AI can give more power, more efficiency, faster performance, and bigger volume by applying to this role. And the third one, I call it annihilation, which means that this specific responsibility or activity doesn't need a human to be done. It can be done entirely by AI, of course, with a supervision by a human. So when we identify the opportunities for automation and classify them in these 3 different categories, then we can go with the next step, the org chart, which is placing all this on the big structure of the company. Because I don't want to speak with a client out of nowhere. So everything which we discussed as AI employees or operations tools, we put it in the context of their organization, not like in the space.
Yeah. Boril, if I should ask you at this stage, let's say I'm the client. Now I'm a sales manager in a medium-sized company, and I come to you to help me to deploy AI agents in my company. What will be the first thing you will do with us?
This is exactly the process which I was explaining. So first we'll have a very short call or meeting, depending on the case, and we'll discuss what you have, what are your expectations, what you want to achieve, and especially I would like to understand where are your bottlenecks top of mind, because the audit will show the real bottlenecks, the real issues, but I need to see the manager, the owner, the whoever is involved in the process, what are their top of mind bottlenecks and problems. And this is their viewpoint. And when I interview several people in the organization, I can see where they intersect and where they are contradicting themselves. So when I have this baseline, basically this is the baseline of our work together, then I can go with audit and we can go ahead with the process. In some cases, I wouldn't say they are simple, but it is possible to just plug in already made off-the-shelf employees. Like chatbots or let's say lead sorcerers and stuff like this, but still they need to be able to fit their process, to fit their technology stack, and fit their communication channels. So we cannot just put them there. We need to analyze what they have, and then we can plug them in a proper way to start working together.
Absolutely. And let's say I want to try to do it on my own as the sales manager. And I think our challenge is, let's say we're too slow to respond to inbound leads. So how should I go? How should I apply your framework in that scenario?
So in this case, it is you're making my job easier because you know your bottleneck, you know what you want, you know your process. So what we can do in this case is you just need to you know it already, but you need to have it as analysis. What are the incoming channels for your leads, for example? Maybe you receive them through meta ads, or maybe they're coming through a registration for your newsletter. So you need to understand your incoming channels, and on these channels we can put them as an input for your new AI employee, and then we need to decide what do you want this employee to do, because do you want this employee to be like a real business development manager and do all that stuff, or only to respond to leads and handle them and transfer them to the real to the human sales team? So when we identify what we want this employee to do, we go to the technical part. We prepare the workflow. We set up the credentials for the different tools which this employee is going to use. For example, this employee need to be able to access your email or to receive form submissions. Then maybe it needs to have access to your CRM or simple Excel files, depends on your technology stack. And then we define the prompts for the AI parts of this flow, and we test it. When we test it, we need to test it more and more, and then we update and optimize it in terms of operations and efficiency.
Good, you're mentioning this initial phase of gathering the credentials, really learning what tools or what tech stack is involved. Because I think very often people don't realize this is the stage where things get stuck, because it can get fairly complicated, especially, for example, you want to use WhatsApp, or you want to integrate different WhatsApp numbers together. Anything with Meta tends to be very complicated and takes time. So you need to be ready, and you need to map this out very well. So it's not just a matter of opening N8N or opening Zapier and start like clicking things
it's
around.
The last thing to do. It did last, not first. Yeah, this is
that's the easiest part in the end, right? Just to like
exactly. This is the fun part.
Yeah, that's the fun part. But really, this preparation, as Boril described, is something crucial that is super important to map out at the beginning. Because if you don't, and if, for example, you imagine a workflow with tools that really cannot work together, even through N8N or something like Zapier, then you will struggle down the line when you're trying to build that workflow.
Or even Lukas, even if these tools are working together very well, maybe you will hit some limitations. For example, some of the Google products, they don't allow you to do automated requests more than, let's say, 100 times per day or something like this. So for this, definitely you will need a technical person like you and me to be involved in the process, to understand the technical stack and to understand the process, so we can propose the best technology solution for this kind of employee, so it can work properly with the organization and the technology stack.
Yeah, and there are different considerations, right? As you said, some tools have their limitations. Some companies, they have their preferred stack or stack that is allowed. But sometimes you just also need to be practical about the cost of the tools, about the cost of the APIs, about the cost of the tokens it might consume. So you might also consider the tech stack based on.
This should be considered very serious as well, because when you are doing this for fun, you can do you can use whatever tools you want, APIs and any kind of AI tools, and you can go with the most expensive models and so on. But when you do it at scale and you start having like 100 or 1,000 inquiries per day, for example, with your campaign, you will see that your bill for the AI tokens and other tools will be like so vast that actually you can do it with a human person with a salary.
Yeah, I always need to laugh when I see on LinkedIn those influencers posting, here's my N8N workflow where I connected 15 agents together, to analyze your leads in your CRM. That's amazing, but to analyze one lead will probably cost you $5 in OpenAI tokens. So
very beautiful picture. The picture is very beautiful, like the N8N, but it's totally ineffective. Performance is.
Boril, last question, since we're reaching an end today. So we're ready to deploy. We're deploying our AI employee. Now, how do I make sure it's working well? How do I maybe test it before everything goes live? What should I pay attention to?
So at least definitely when, for example, when I develop this kind of workflows, I'm going through three different stages of development, deployment, and testing. So there is my alpha development stage when I do it internally. I test it myself according to my standards and my procedures of testing. Then I go to the beta version and I share with the client. They test with their team, maybe with some of their clients if they use it. And then we go with production when it's tested, improved, optimized, and it can go live with real environment, real requirements. So we need to pay attention to many things, but two are very important. First one is, of course, the cost, as we discussed, the architecture, the structure of our workflow, and the tools we are using, and how we use them, how we request the information or operation with them defines how much we spend. And in the perfect world, we can do whatever we want, but in the real world, we need to consider the budget of the client. So maybe they don't want to pay like $1,000 per month for AI and other kind of tools. So we need to consider this cost. We need to measure it, and we need to try to optimize it by optimizing our prompts, optimizing our process, optimizing the requests, and other different ways to do it. So this is something very important. And of course, we need to consider how the work is done by this employee, because we need to apply the same standards for the employee like for the human, if it was an intern or a onboarded human expert. So we need to monitor the output and the performance, like how many operations it can do, or how much time, what the cost of it, and what the quality of their output. So if it's about the content creation, we need to check the content as a human created it. So cost and quality of output are the most important things to monitor before we go live. And the third one will be the speed of response, because in many cases, especially when you use the AI agent nodes of N8N or Make.com or whatever, sometimes the AI agent is communicating with its core, and the response is coming after 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 50 seconds. And 99% of the time, clients are not ready to wait so much for a response from a chatbot, for example. So we need to optimize the response time of our AI employee as well.
Which is a topic for a whole another episode. And just one final sentence, I want to highlight one thing you said, which I think is really important, and that's the thinking about it as in the same way as if you're hiring a junior employee, right? If you hire a junior employee, you also don't expect that the very first output of their work will be 100% right? The moment they produce something, you go, you check it, you give them feedback, then you check it again. Usually you have very fast feedback loop with new people to get them up to speed.
Yeah.
And the same applies for AI employees. The faster you're checking the outputs, the more feedback you're getting it, you're improving the system prompts and everything, the faster you'll get to ideal outcomes.
Exactly.
Perfect. Boril, thank you very much. Thank you, whoever's listening, whoever's watching. As always, please let us know any feedback, message Boril or myself. And we'll be back next week when we will talk about the different AI tools and how to navigate actually in this ocean of AI tools, where a new super platform or automation tool is popping up every week or so. So we'll see you next Tuesday as well.
Thank you, Lukas. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.